Welcome to Inside JMS, the stories behind the people who work at the Hank Greenspun School of Journalism and Media Studies. I'm Kevin Stoker. I'm the director of the school. I'm here with Dave Norris.
Great to be here, Kevin, as always.
He's an assistant professor in residence here at the school, and with Ben Burroughs, our guest today. Dr. Ben Burroughs is associate professor of journalism and media studies. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Ben, we're really excited to get to know you and learn more about you today. But I think the really interesting thing that I want to start out with is, what's a faculty member, somebody who went to school at the University of Iowa, who grew up in Hawaii, and yet keeps a blog for Clemson football? Just explain to me how that happens. How do you become someone who, and you went to USC, right?
I did. I went to USC. Went to London School of Economics as well for my master's degrees. So that story begins with my father being an academic, and he was a professor at Clemson. So I grew up as a very young child at Clemson and going to Clemson football games and just being a fan of Clemson. And then we moved to Hawaii. So I grew up in Hawaii. I'm, not Hawaiian. My wife and my kids are Hawaiian, but I'm what's called a haole. I grew up there on the North Shore. And it actually makes perfect sense for someone from Hawaii to be in Vegas, right, in the Ninth Island, because now our family will actually visit us as opposed to being in Iowa where no one visits us at all. So, there's a lot of reasons for me to be here in Las Vegas, and it's been a great fit.
That's terrific. Well, Ben, tell us a little bit about your family.
So I have 4 kids. They are Dashel, that's 12, Mercer, that's 10, Ren, that is 8, and Seeger, who's 4. Seeger just started preschool, so there's never a dull moment for our family. And my wife and I met and grew up on the North Shore. She's from Hauula, and I'm from Laie. And so that's our family.
And you went to, is it the name of the high school, Kaka?
No, Kahuku, yeah. At one point in time, Kahuku had more NFL players than any other high school in the nation. So I didn't play football. I played basketball and water polo. But, our Kahuku high school football team's pretty legendary. Now,
I have to ask you about the names. Those are some pretty unique names. Wouldn't you say, Dave, these are not names that...
I think if anything, we can tell that there's a story behind each of them.
So we want to hear how you came up with those names. Now, Ren, that's a little more traditional, but Seeger is...
Seeger, yeah.
Was it Bob Seeger? Was that the influence there?
So let's start with Dashel. He's the oldest. That's not my name. That's my wife's name. And it comes from Minority Report. If you've watched Minority Report, one of the 3 cogs is named Dashel. And I loved it because I love Dashiell Hammett, the author. And we went with the German spelling of it because once upon a time I was a Senate page for the United States Senate one summer, and the minority leader at the time who I worked for was Senator Tom Daschle.
Oh,
yeah, so there's a connection there. I was a Senate page for Senator Inouye from Hawaii, but you work for the caucus there, so that was a great experience. And Dashiell's middle name actually is Strider, so I got to do that. So there's a little Lord of the Rings connection there. And then Mercer, that was just like... Because I have a problem with names, being a professor and branding and kind of thinking through names. I know what I don't like. So it was just a process of elimination of different names. But Mercer's middle name is Tahi Toi, which means last man standing. And Tahi Toi was a friend of mine growing up. It's Tahitian name and a Maori name too. And then Wren's name, W-R-E-N, Wren, the bird, right, is the state bird of the state of South Carolina. So there's a Carolina Wren there. And then Wren's middle name is Kamea Kamakana Okalani, for her Hawaiian connection, which is one and only daughter of the beloved. So, and then Seeger is Kuli is his middle name. So yeah, there was we went Seeger, Bob Seeger. There's Seeger that's a baseball player for the Mariners. There's a lot of like connections to Seeger too. So
It seems like you like trivia.
I don't know. You get asked about like, kind of different kids' names. So you got to build up, I think, some, rationale for why you have, named your children these things. So I'm a Ben. So I wanted, something a little more exciting than just a Ben, right? But not like too crazy. Just right there in that sweet spot of like, oh, but not like, whoa.
Unique, but not overboard, right?
Yeah. That's what we tried to do. And also kind of rooted in the culture of the family and connect them to their ancestral ties and things like that.
That's pretty cool. I always envy you that when you go on vacation to see family, you have to go to Hawaii.
We don't do that as much as we should, but yes, we do try to get back to my wife's family in Hawaii. But she's one of 12, so there's a lot of family there to be with, yes, and there's a lot of little house and a lot of family, right? So.
Ben, let's talk a little bit about what you do here. So you've been at the Hank Greenspun School of Journalism and Media Studies. Is this your 7th year now?
I think this is. Yep, this is my 7th year here.
So what got you to Las Vegas? Other than we know it's a great fit, but why the Hank Greenspun School of Journalism and Media Studies?
That's a great question. I had multiple opportunities, but this is the place that I really wanted to come. I found that I would be a good fit with the faculty because at the time there wasn't much of emphasis on social media, digital media, and that suited my strengths. I'm very interested in emerging media, particularly streaming media, and those are the kinds of things that I like to study: live streaming. And sports. And so I found, I had a good niche here. And also being in Las Vegas, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas is really the only game in town in terms of like major R1 institutions. And so, I felt like it would position me well and it would be kind of close to family and close to those kinds of things that were important too.
So, Kevin, I think it's fair to say that Dr. Burroughs here is a publishing machine.
Yes.
I don't think we're going overboard when we say that. But what are you interested in these days? Like, if someone were to ask you, Dr. Burroughs, what do you spend your time working on? Can you distill that down into a few things? Or are you still spread out all over the place?
Well, I mean, I do follow my interests, so everything kind of revolves around new digital, social media, emerging technologies in different areas. So sports media is definitely one that I'm interested in. Video games, esports, that's another area, and then live streaming is still something that's really important to me. So a paper that I'm working on right now is called the Kukiai Kuhuku Civic Streaming paper, and we're looking at the ways in which live streaming technology was used by this group that was protesting these giant windmills that were put into my town right above my high school. And so there's this really fascinating tension between, climate change and fighting for ecological change, but also indigenous rights and being able to, have your local, have a say over like how your local region takes care of the environment. So you have this large multinational corporation that's getting these tax refunds, and they put in these giant windmills for that, and the local population saying, hey, my property values this is not what we want for our local culture here, and they're doing that and articulating that through live streaming. So that's kind of what we're looking at in the ways in which live streaming creates a certain kind of rhythm amongst the local population there. So that's one project that I'm really kind of interested in because it connects me back to my hometown. But yeah, I've got my hands in a lot of different projects, and just published something on Watchmen, and thinking about infrastructural racism. Very big on thinking through the implications of how we might theorize this word infrastructure and what that does. So yeah, I'm still all over the place, but I think that's good. Try to get my hands in a lot of different areas and to continue to publish.
Well, tell me what you mean by infrastructure. Give us a, Reader's Digest version of it.
Oh, yeah. So media infrastructure is this kind of concept that comes from John Peters' latest book. It has a longer history, but that's really where it's come from for media studies folks. And thinking about infrastructure is thinking about the ways in which materialism structures engagement and practices and sociality, as well as kind of, we've had this infrastructure bill, right, where we're talking about canals and bridges and buildings and things. So we're thinking through the ways in which media infrastructures can do that work, and then what are the implications of that on populations, right? So yeah, that's, I guess, like a quick version of what media infrastructure sounds like.
That's great. And you just got tenure and promotion last year and did a sabbatical. And the project for the sabbatical, was that the project looking at the effect of the windmills and the indigenous population?
Yeah, that was one of the projects, and that's part of a book proposal I put together on civic streaming. And I have another book proposal that is under review right now for sports with NYU Press. How to Watch Sports is what it's called right now. We're not wedded to that, but it'll be a whole bunch of different chapters on a sports team and then its implication with a particular topic like a sports team and race, or a sports team and different sports studies concepts. So it should be really good. There's one on how to watch television, how to play video games, and we're pitching the sports. So hopefully that'll come through. And yeah, and then just publishing, I've got about 3 papers that got published during my time in my sabbatical.
Wow. That's awesome.
Not productive at all, I don't think, right?
Yeah. Well, and you also teach some interesting classes, too. Right now, you're our director of our graduate program, and so you've ended up teaching a lot of graduate classes. But also, if I was going to say what class is near and dear to your heart, would it be virtual worlds?
Yeah, I would say the classes near and dear to my heart are the social networks class that when I came in, I built here at the university, and this social networks class, which is also video games and kind of looking at the connection between the two. So we're talking about things like Twitch, we're talking about influencers, we're talking about a lot of things that students really care about right now, and is relevant both professionally and academically. And then I've been the graduate coordinator now for 4 or 5. This is my 5th year as the graduate coordinator, and really enjoyed working with students. And we've had a lot of great projects, student thesis projects, creative thesis projects that I've been able to chair and help students do. So really proud of that work too.
Ben, tell me a little bit about, since we're talking about you as a teacher, tell us a little bit about your teaching style. Like what do you think in terms of when you try to connect with students, when you're trying to work with students? These could be undergrads, graduate students, but how do you define yourself as a teacher, as a professor?
That's a great question too. To me, promoting critical thinking is my number one goal in the classroom. If I can walk out of the class and have helped students to understand what critical thinking is and then how to apply it in a particular area, that's important to me. I do like experiential learning. I do like allowing students to play with technology, to have some project-based assignments and things. So it's not just all lectures and books, but students are getting their hands on technology and learning by doing. And that kind of melds the professional with the academic as well, which I always try to do in my classes. Show, the theories, have them understand the theories, do critical thinking, develop writing skills, but also I think it's important for students to be able to take something away that's practical and skill-based as well. So balancing those two is important to me. So that's kind of how I'd explain myself as a professor, as a teacher.
That sounds great.
Well, speaking of balancing, so you had 3 articles more than 3 articles last year and this year, and you're working on a book project and everything else, and you're taking kids to flag football, soccer games,
Yes.
very much engaged in family life, teaching your courses, running a graduate program, doing all this research. Ben, how do you do it?
Lots of In-N-Out burgers and Dr. Pepper. None of that Dr. Pepper Zero stuff. All straight Dr. Pepper. No, I just try to stay busy and put my best foot forward and take it one day at a time. All those kind of slogans. Yeah, that's it. No, I don't. This is what we're supposed to be doing. So that's my job. So that's what I do.
Well, if you had a secret that you would say to a new faculty member who came in or something like that, and they were trying to figure out how to be successful managing all these things, and most faculty members aren't managing as much as you are, what would you say? Is there some kind, maybe there's not a secret sauce or anything, but what would it be?
Well, one thing with publishing that I think is important is to understand that rejection is just part of academia. It's part of the game, and not to get too discouraged by rejection. And at some point, you feel like you know whether something is a good enough product to be published, and to just trust in that, and to keep going forward with projects. So understanding rejection is part of it. Conferences, papers, proposals, all the grants, all those things are that's part of the process. So that's always been helpful for me to understand that, and to not like curl up in a ball every time you get a rejection. Although that may happen sometimes, but and with family life, it's that I'm blessed to have some great kids and to have a great relationship with my wife, and that helps me, and relationships with family that support me. So I'm blessed to have that, and then I'm blessed to have great faculty members around me that are always supportive, great
There you go,
leadership.
Kevin.
Yeah,
We were looking for
Is that what we were looking for?
It's about time. Ben, you've had an interesting life. USC was your undergrad.
No,
Or master's.
A master's, yeah. So I did 2 master's degrees, one from the London School of Economics and the other from the University of Southern California. And then I did my undergrads actually at BYU Hawaii, and I did that in 2 double major there in political science and in intercultural studies with an emphasis on communication. So, yeah. Then my degrees are MA and MSc in global media and communication. And then I went to Iowa and did the PhD in communication studies.
And yeah, I heard you mention John Durham Peters, and he
Right.
was one of your professors there, who was very well known in the
He's at Yale now.
communication area, and he's at Yale. That's right.
So, Ben, let's take a step back outside of academia for a minute. Let's go back to when you were growing up. Is there a particular childhood memory or experience that you had that kind of defines the person that you are today, other than a rabid Clemson Tigers fan?
Oh, I can't do that one, huh? All right. No, so like I said, when I was growing up, I grew up in the South, in central South Carolina, and that was a much different experience than going from there to Hawaii, where it was very much a flip from being, the majority to the minority in this place that I was, and beginning to like understand what that meant for me culturally. That was kind of a formative shaping experience to kind of learn what power relations are like in your everyday life, and to kind of see them, to recognize them, to understand that things were different. And so that's helped me be kind of interested in the ways in which culture and power are kind of operating in everyday life. And then I've always been really interested in media and with, television and social media and things like that, that popped up, and then how that played off of each other. So that really was an important moment when I my first day of school in Hawaii, somebody asked me, "Oh, so where do you live?" And I said, "Oh, I live on Moana Street, which is this road." And the person said, "Oh, you live on Howley Street." This was as a 6th grader, right? And I was like, "Oh, Yes. Yes, I do. I live on Howley Street, and I am Howley, which is, it has a complicated history, and that street has a complicated history. I would later learn in the community because there were faculty housing that was there, and those faculty housing were usually taken up by the white faculty members who had come or were brought in. So it had this really complicated, interesting history that I over the years began to continually unravel, and that was really formative in kind of shaping my positioning and understanding all of that.
Well, and I think, Kevin, one of the things that we know, but maybe listeners don't, is Ben really is a critical culturalist at heart. And I think that says so much about kind of foundationally who you are and your experience and kind of why you bring this perspective to the work that you do right now. So that's really enlightening. I'm really glad you shared it.
Yeah, no, I do, critical cultural work and qualitative work mostly. I mean, I do quantitative work, and but I guess my heart is in the qualitative. But it's more about like understanding, culture, power relation, texts, and that's the media studies kind of approach that I was kind of trained in from coming from Iowa and coming from USC. And so working with Henry Jenkins, working with John Peters, and melding those two together to kind of have the approach that I do right now. Or try to have, at least.
Well, if there's something we haven't asked you during the discussion that we should have asked you that would help our listeners learn more about you and who Dr. Ben Burroughs really is, what would it be?
That my In-N-Out order is cheeseburger animal style, regular and grilled onions, add chopped chilies, bun extra toast. That's my order, and that's what drives my days. That's it.
And I have to say that now my order is bun extra toast, chopped chilies, and grilled onions.
It's good
He's
stuff.
had that influence. Now I haven't gone animal style yet, but other than that, I've followed Ben's example, and it's worked out pretty well for
I was
me.
going to say, I think all of our waistlines have a lot to thank Dr. Burroughs
but
for.
he doesn't buy fries.
This is the key.
He doesn't get fries. He just gets the burger.
Okay, maybe here's something else to know about me. I did spend a good bit of time in Europe, and in Belgium, and so I have very specific views about frites, les frites. So I speak French, and fries should be double shocked. Belgian frites are the superior fry, and like In-N-Out fries are just too fresh. They make them right there, and fries need some time to get rid of some of their moisture, right? And so Belgian frites are double shocked, which means they're put in the oil 2 times, and they're wonderful. And the sauces, they're wonderful.
Ben, it was great chatting with you today and having an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it, Ben. Thanks.